Welcome to Framework, the podcast that makes the NIST cybersecurity framework practical, engaging, and accessible. Whether you're a cybersecurity professional, business leader, or simply curious about how organizations defend against cyber threats, this series is for you. This podcast is inspired by a comprehensive guide to the NIST Cybersecurity Framework 2.0, a best-selling resource written by cybersecurity expert Dr. Jason Edwards and trusted by professionals worldwide. In each episode, we'll leverage a few insights from Jason's extensive book to dive deep into CSF 2.0, unpacking every function, category, and subcategory with real-world applications you can immediately use. If you're enjoying this episode and want to learn more, head over to cyberauthor.me to grab your copy of the book and access additional resources to enhance your cybersecurity journey. You can also visit baremetalcyber.com, where over 2 million people last year explored expert insights, articles, and practical tools across a wide range of cybersecurity topics. RC-CO04 Sharing Public Recovery Updates. RC.CO-04 ensures that organizations effectively communicate recovery updates to the public following a cybersecurity incident, providing clear, accurate, and timely information to maintain trust, transparency, and regulatory compliance. This subcategory belongs to the Recover function within the National Institute of Standards and Technology Cybersecurity Framework, version 2.0, emphasizing that public recovery communication plays a critical role in managing reputational risk, restoring customer confidence, and aligning with industry regulations. Without structured public communication strategies, organizations risk damaging their reputation, creating unnecessary panic, and facing regulatory penalties for non-disclosure or misinformation. By implementing structured public recovery communication protocols, organizations ensure that customers, investors, media, and other external stakeholders receive timely and accurate updates about cybersecurity recovery efforts. A well-defined public communication framework includes crisis communication planning, legal and regulatory compliance considerations, and structured messaging to ensure that all external statements align with verified recovery progress. Organizations that adopt AI-driven media monitoring, integrate automated press release management, and enforce structured public relations workflows improve their ability to maintain transparency, reduce misinformation, and strengthen stakeholder trust during the recovery process. Multiple stakeholders play a role in sharing public recovery updates. Public relations teams and corporate communications officers are responsible for crafting clear and accurate messaging about recovery progress. Legal and compliance teams ensure that public recovery statements meet regulatory disclosure requirements and align with privacy and cybersecurity laws. Executive leadership and investor relations teams play a critical role in approving external messaging, ensuring consistency across all communication channels, and addressing stakeholder concerns about recovery efforts. Effective public recovery communication is implemented through structured external reporting procedures, predefined media engagement strategies, and automated public notification systems. This includes using AI-powered sentiment analysis to track public reaction to recovery updates, integrating automated press release distribution to ensure message consistency, and enforcing structured approval workflows to prevent misinformation from spreading. Organizations that fail to implement structured public recovery communication processes risk misleading stakeholders, increasing reputational damage, and facing regulatory scrutiny due to inconsistent or incomplete public statements. Several key terms define public recovery communication and its role in cybersecurity governance. Crisis communication planning ensures that organizations develop structured strategies for managing external communication during cybersecurity recovery efforts. Regulatory disclosure compliance ensures that organizations adhere to industry regulations and legal requirements when reporting cybersecurity incidents and recovery updates to the public. Media engagement strategy ensures that organizations define clear protocols for interacting with journalists, analysts, and social media audiences during cybersecurity recovery efforts. Public sentiment monitoring ensures that organizations track and analyze public reactions to recovery updates to adjust messaging as needed. Reputation management framework ensures that organizations proactively address stakeholder concerns, minimize misinformation, and reinforce trust through transparent recovery communication. Challenges in sharing public recovery updates often lead to miscommunication, reputational damage, and legal consequences. One common issue is failure to align public messaging with internal recovery progress, where organizations release premature or inaccurate updates, leading to confusion and distrust among external stakeholders. Another issue is lack of coordination between legal, public relations, and technical teams, where organizations struggle to balance transparency with regulatory compliance, resulting in either over-disclosure or under-reporting of key recovery details. Some organizations mistakenly believe that avoiding public communication altogether will minimize reputational harm, without recognizing that a lack of transparency can fuel speculation, increase regulatory pressure, and erode stakeholder confidence. When organizations implement structured public recovery communication frameworks, they enhance stakeholder trust, maintain regulatory compliance, and effectively manage reputational risks during cybersecurity recovery efforts. A structured public communication model ensures that corporate leadership, public relations teams, and regulatory compliance officers work together to craft clear, accurate, and legally compliant recovery messages. Organizations that adopt AI-driven media monitoring, enforce structured press release approval workflows, and integrate automated external communication tools develop a comprehensive cybersecurity strategy that ensures transparency, consistency, and accountability in public-facing recovery efforts. Organizations that fail to implement structured public recovery communication strategies face severe reputational, legal, and financial risks. Without clear public communication, businesses risk spreading misinformation, losing customer trust, and attracting regulatory scrutiny due to lack of transparency or inaccurate statements. A common issue is delayed or reactive communication, where organizations wait too long to issue recovery updates, allowing speculation and rumors to dominate the narrative. Another major challenge is inconsistent messaging, where different departments issue conflicting statements about the recovery process, creating confusion among external stakeholders and damaging the organization's credibility. By implementing structured public recovery communication protocols, organizations ensure that all external stakeholders receive timely, accurate, and well-coordinated updates about cybersecurity recovery efforts. A well-defined external communication framework incorporates pre-approved messaging, automated public notification workflows, and compliance-driven reporting requirements to ensure consistency and legal adherence. Organizations that deploy AI-driven sentiment analysis tools, integrate automated crisis communication dashboards, and enforce structured external reporting procedures improve their ability to manage public perception, reinforce trust, and align recovery communication with organizational and regulatory objectives. At the partial tier, organizations lack formal public recovery communication policies, leading to inconsistent messaging, ad hoc media responses, and potential misinformation. External communication may be handled reactively, with public statements issued only in response to media inquiries or regulatory pressure, rather than as part of a proactive strategy. A small business at this level may suffer a data breach and release a vague statement to customers, failing to provide details on the recovery process or security improvements, further eroding trust. At the risk-informed tier, organizations begin to establish structured public recovery communication procedures, ensuring that executive leadership and legal teams review and approve external statements. However, these processes may still be manual, requiring communication teams to gather and distribute information without automated messaging tools. A mid-size healthcare provider at this level may send email updates to affected patients following a ransomware attack, but lack a structured crisis communication playbook for handling public relations and media inquiries. At the repeatable tier, organizations implement a fully structured public recovery communication framework, ensuring that automated public notifications, pre-approved messaging templates, and media engagement strategies are consistently followed. Cybersecurity governance is formalized, with leadership actively involved in reviewing and approving all external communication to ensure compliance and accuracy. A multinational financial institution at this stage may use a centralized crisis communication platform to provide real-time public updates about system recovery efforts, following a cyber attack, ensuring alignment across all communication channels. At the adaptive tier, organizations employ AI-driven public sentiment analysis, predictive reputational risk modeling, and continuous media monitoring to proactively refine and enhance public-facing recovery communication strategies. Public recovery communication processes are fully integrated into enterprise security and crisis management operations, ensuring that corporate communications teams use AI-powered analytics to dynamically adjust messaging based on real-time public response and evolving recovery progress. A global technology firm at this level may use machine learning-driven media response automation to detect emerging narratives in social media and adjust recovery messaging to address public concerns more effectively. Sharing public recovery updates aligns with multiple controls in the National Institute of Standards and Technology Special Publication 800-53, ensuring that organizations implement structured methodologies for external information sharing, stakeholder engagement, and regulatory disclosure. One key control is AU-12 Audit Generation and Review, which requires organizations to document and track all external recovery communications for compliance and transparency. A national retail chain implementing this control may maintain a structured archive of public statements and customer notifications issued following a cybersecurity incident, ensuring regulatory accountability. Another key control is PT-2 Publicly Available Information Protection, which mandates that organizations ensure that public recovery updates do not inadvertently expose sensitive security details or operational risks. A multinational software provider implementing this control may use a structured review process to redact sensitive forensic investigation details from public recovery reports while maintaining transparency about remediation efforts. Sharing public recovery updates also aligns with IR-3, Incident Response Coordination, which requires organizations to align external recovery communication with internal incident response teams, ensuring that public statements reflect actual recovery progress and security improvements. This control ensures that organizations do not issue misleading or premature statements, reducing the risk of conflicting information between internal and external audiences. A global financial services provider implementing this control may coordinate real-time updates between security teams and corporate communications, ensuring that all public disclosures align with verified recovery milestones. These controls can be adapted based on organizational size, industry, and cybersecurity maturity. A small business may implement basic public recovery communication strategies, ensuring that leadership manually drafts customer notifications and press releases following an incident. A large enterprise may deploy AI-driven public sentiment tracking, automated crisis communication workflows, and structured legal approval mechanisms to ensure that all external messaging is aligned with regulatory requirements and stakeholder expectations. Organizations in highly regulated industries, such as healthcare, finance, and government, may require legally mandated disclosure frameworks, compliance-driven media engagement protocols, and structured external reporting processes to align with cybersecurity transparency requirements. Auditors assess an organization's ability to share public recovery updates effectively by reviewing whether documented, consistently enforced, and automated public disclosure frameworks are in place. They evaluate whether organizations implement predefined external communication procedures, enforce structured media engagement policies, and integrate real-time sentiment analysis into crisis response strategies. If an organization fails to provide clear and accurate public recovery updates, auditors may issue findings highlighting gaps in cybersecurity transparency, weak crisis communication execution, and failure to align public messaging with industry regulations. To verify compliance, auditors seek specific types of evidence. Public recovery communication policy documentation and structured post-incident reporting logs demonstrate that organizations formally define and enforce cybersecurity external communication standards. Automated public disclosure records and compliance-driven external engagement reports provide insights into whether organizations proactively track, monitor, and confirm cybersecurity recovery communication effectiveness based on predefined transparency, AI-driven media monitoring dashboards, and predictive reputational risk assessment tools show whether organizations effectively manage and refine public recovery messaging strategies using real-world incident data and adaptive crisis communication controls. A compliance success scenario could involve a global healthcare provider that undergoes an audit and provides evidence that structured cybersecurity public recovery communication strategies are fully integrated into enterprise security governance, ensuring that all post-incident media statements, customer notifications, and investor disclosures are systematically executed. Auditors confirm that cybersecurity external communication policies are enforced, stakeholder engagement mechanisms are dynamically refined, and enterprise-wide cybersecurity governance frameworks align with structured public disclosure models. In contrast, an organization that fails to implement structured cybersecurity public communication frameworks, neglects real-time external stakeholder engagement, or lacks formalized public disclosure workflows may receive audit findings for poor cybersecurity transparency, weak public messaging execution, and failure to align post-recovery communication strategies with regulatory compliance mandates. Organizations face multiple barriers in ensuring that cybersecurity public recovery communication remains clear, timely, and effective. One major challenge is failure to integrate automated external communication workflows into incident response strategies, where organizations rely on manual processes, leading to delayed or inconsistent public statements. Another challenge is over-reliance on generic messaging templates, where organizations issue vague or impersonal recovery updates that fail to address specific concerns of customers, investors, and media. A final challenge is difficulty maintaining cybersecurity recovery communication consistency across global operations, where organizations struggle to apply standardized external messaging policies across multiple subsidiaries, regions, and regulatory jurisdictions. Organizations can overcome these barriers by developing structured cybersecurity public recovery communication frameworks, ensuring that cybersecurity post-incident external messaging policies remain continuously optimized, and integrating real-time reputational risk analysis models into enterprise-wide cybersecurity governance strategies. Investing in AI-driven cybersecurity incident reporting automation, automated compliance-driven media monitoring platforms, and predictive cybersecurity stakeholder engagement tools ensures that organizations dynamically assess, monitor, and refine cybersecurity recovery communication strategies in real time. Standardizing cybersecurity public recovery messaging methodologies across departments, subsidiaries, and external business partners ensures that cybersecurity post-incident public communication policies are consistently applied, reducing stakeholder uncertainty while strengthening enterprise-wide cybersecurity transparency. By embedding cybersecurity public recovery communication strategies into enterprise security governance frameworks, organizations enhance cybersecurity reputation management capabilities, improve regulatory compliance, and ensure sustainable cybersecurity post-incident public disclosure processes across evolving cyber risk landscapes. That wraps up today's discussion on framework. Don't stop here. Head over to cyberauthor.me to explore more cybersecurity topics and discover a best-selling book covering NIST and other critical cyber frameworks. Please like, rate, and review this episode on Apple and Spotify. Until next time, remember that knowledge is power.